Hey everyone, I am going to talk about just like the recent article of the New York Times, and I'm going to be linking it to some political ideas that I've seen through the units of the lecture. Like, the main topic I wanted to talk about was selectoral theory, and basically what democracy really means in, like, I guess, political definition, because it is, but just like a little more to it. Um, because of what's going on right now. So I'm going to be looking through an article of all the theories and what people are saying on the New York Times that was recommended. I'm just looking at my computer here because like I need a good shot of the view. Sorry if it's a little distracting, but I wanted to talk about how in the New York Times, the recent article from this week, there has been reports of the rising tensions between obviously United States and Iran because of the whole situation, and it's really escalated to a point where the military has to renew the escalation that they had, and we like it was just going in detail about how it had to break down the diplomatic negations and all that because they're kind of preparing, um, and it was also basically explaining that the escalation has increased like instability between obviously the United States and the global energy markets, regardless, because of Iran's role in the absolute oil shipping areas of Strait of Hormuz, which is like where it is, and obviously like oil is like for the gas, so the things that we need to go and put in our cars or to travel. And so according to the New York Times, it's the situation has contributed like in uncertainty in global markets because we don't really know where this is heading, and the energy traders are reacting quickly to the possibility of supply disruptions and further conflict. So they're just trying to prepare basically how the conflict is heading and how we're gonna have to be dealing with it soon. It also highlighted the tensions that are about the diplomatic engagement, meaning that the situation, like, it's getting worse than getting resolved. So it's not going in a good direction, and you know, Iran and the United States is not stepping down. So obviously, I feel like this like article was very useful for the political science analysis because it shows the international conflict and domestic political incentives that are connected. Well, an important concept to me was the selective theory, which kind of just explains how leaders maintain power by keeping support from like a key group of it was the winning coalition. Sorry. And the theory divides into the population of residents, so it's everyone in the country, and then normal selectorate, people eligible to vote, real selectorate, which is people who actually participate in the elections, and then the winning coalition, the group who support necessary for leaders to stay in power. In the United States, for us, the winning coalition includes voters, political elites, and influential economic actors and all that. So, from what I know, the selectoral theory is kind of insinuating that the leaders are not only basing their decisions on the international strategy from what we're learning, but also on the decisions that affect domestic political support. So just basically, from what I analyzed was that they're also basing it on like people are kind of insinuating, not just like on like what they think would be the best decision for it. And like in this case, the foreign policy decisions like the military escalation or like the diplomacy that influence different groups, the winning coalition, sorry, was also like in different ways. So, for example, a strong military action may increase support among some groups, while economic instability caused by rising oil prices may reduce support among others. It's like what was analyzed for different like reasons of, a stronger military would be great, but the oil, so some people are conflicted among that. So obviously the leaders have to balance strategy with domestic policy, political incentives to be able to see what they can do, strategize. This connects to the minimalist definitions of democracy. Like Simon P. Huntington defines democracy as a system where leaders are chosen through elections, and where power can change, situations peacefully. So Adam Przeworski, sorry if I said that wrong, defines democracy as a system where leaders can lose elections. So it's more of a view of who loses in the elections. But the United States fits both definitions because leaders are accountable to voters, and public opinion can influence future elections. We've seen with past presidents on what was they were influenced by, whether it was what they're promising or what they were saying, their opinions, what they did before. So that also has say in that. And this would be kind of an example of limitation of minimalist definitions of democracy, because while elections create accountability, they do not really fully explain how decisions are made in real time. So like leaders may still based on like the active political survival, strategic interest, or pressure from influential groups. So the selector theory explains like this gap by showing how maintaining support from a willing coalition shapes decision making in a way. So what I was able to interpret and I kind of like analyzed from the New York Times was the fact that how international conflicts and domestic politics are like deeply connected. The selector theory explains how leaders make decisions to maintain political support, while democratic theory explains how these leaders are being held accountable through these elections. So together, these concepts help us understand more on how the global events and domestic political incentives kind of interact. And I was able to get in this.